Three.
Hey, good morning. This is GAC014 Assessment 1, Listening and Group Discussion. We are in Campus UVM Cumbres and today is March 15 of 2023. My name is Maria Fernanda Cervantes Lopez and my UVM ID is 55031. My position in this discussion is a teacher.
My name is Guerrero and my UVM ID is 55047. My position in this discussion is a lawyer.
My name is Esparza. My UVM ID is 55017 and my assigned speaker is psychologist.
So as a teacher, I've seen that social media has had both positive and negative impacts. So for the negative impacts, I believe that for some students it becomes easier to cheat and manipulate some answers. Actually, there was an example that previously the SATs results were posted to the internet, so the students already have seen the results, and so they were able to have a preview of the exam before presenting their SATs, so the results were not accurate. So therefore, social media does have had a negative impact on the communication with students, and also it's been proven that the students with a higher use of social media have lower grades because teachers consider social media as a distraction in class hours.
Yeah, but in my experience as a lawyer, I have seen that social media have been very useful to policies and the law because it is useful to arrest criminals by using or solve crimes by using like photos or learning more information about certain person, which make the crimes and the police's problems more easy to solve.
Yes, so even though many people use, kids use in these gadgets and also social media in class hours for cheating or many other things, I think that kids can also help to develop their potential, their abilities, and also it helps for educational support. And I think it's a very good tool to use when it's used in the right way, right? But also these social media, even though they help develop, these also can develop many addictive behaviors, stress confrontation, and many other problems that kids and also adults in some cases can get, right?
So in a little disagreement with the criminal aspect of the social media, there was also proven that social media, even though it kind of helps the policies, that social media also attracts more criminals, and it's more easier to become cyberbullied, to become like if you want to buy something, people can kind of be dishonest about that. You can get ripped off from your money. You can also discover some more stronger topics like pedophiles and more criminal offenses. So it is also like an exposure to certain students, and actually in a little bit of an agreement with the psychologist, it does serve to communicate your ideas. You can also be more creative, you can express what you think, but also I believe that as a teacher we can see reflected on our students that social media can have a big impact on the students' mental health. So for example, they can get into discussions or fight with their friends, be cyberbullied, and that will be reflected in their attitude in classes. So we can also mess up with students' mental health.
Yeah, you have a point when you said that social media exposes people because in my experience I have seen that social media has been an aspect that avoid privacy and that makes the people to be hacked or to be exposed in a certain way. And also there I have found that cyberbullying and bullying in that aspect have increased in the last years.
Supporting the point of cyberbullying, I think something we can all agree, which is that, in a recent study in 2012, there was that cyberbullying increase in adults, which is a very rare case, but that has been studied that adults increase cyberbullying from almost 30%, and it's very present in kids, right? What does this mean? That This can raise anxiety, this can raise many violent behaviors, addictive behaviors, and these relationships can get affected because almost 50% of the adults have expressed that they have finished the relationship. It can be from friends or family, and this can affect in a very high emotional way the people, right? Kids and adults.
So now that we are actually touching the topic of adults' exposure to social media, I do as a teacher agree that maybe cyberbullying can be a really bad impact of social media in adults. And I will also need to add to this conversation that, for example, us as teachers, now that we've done talking about students and teenagers with social media, as teachers, as adults exposed to social media, for educators, social media has actually been really helpful because it helps educators and teachers to put out information so there's more academic access to people that, for example, don't have the physical abilities to attend to school. They can search their information and educational purposes from their internet. They can have majors and lectures from the internet, and the teachers can also use social media as a way to express their classes, to portray maybe some topics. But I, as a teacher, didn't know that adults actually struggle with their mental health having to do with social media.
Yeah, touching the point of information, in my experience, I've seen that social media has, in the last years, has been a very good way to inform people or to be informed. Also because many of the leaders of other countries or politics or news or things like that has been using social media to inform the people. Like for example, Twitter has been one of the most used, and also a lot of country leaders has announced their points in this social media.
Yeah.
Yes, touching the point of important said mental health, I think it's something which is very important right nowadays and very important when talking about social media. Even though all these social media can generate all these problems, I think that as I already said, it can be a very good tool and also a very important emotional pillar, in a way to say that, because as I already said, even though it generates all these problems, this makes people more confident. What do I mean? When working with kids and adults, as a psychologist, I have realized that this helped a lot of people who are shy or who have problems when talking with other people, when talking to their family, to their teachers and many other people, right? So that's the thing I think is very important, which is the way shy people or people who just don't know how to talk in a strange way can get involved in relationship, right? But as I already said, this is just in some cases, and this can generate a lot of problems. But I think it's a very important thing to mention that it can be a very good way to have mental health.
Yeah, so from our professions, I think we can all agree with the fact that now when I'm listening to each of you saying the bad and the negative parts of social media in you guys' professions, I think we can all agree that the common factor for the bad use and the negative impact is the management. So as in psychology, social media can be really helpful for, as you mentioned, shy people, people who want to express their emotions and create more. And the bad management will lead to cyberbullying, but it will only be the management. And as a teacher, students can get access to academic information, and that's a good thing. But if they manage it in a negative way, they can cheat. But it's all about how you put it out. And for the lawyers, it's really good for their policies to speak through social media, like in Twitter, as you mentioned. but in bad management it can spread misinformation. But I think that overall social media has a really positive impact. It's just the management. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree?
Yeah, I agree. I think that social media has been a very good tool and very useful, and always is better to have a good control and management to avoid the problems and the negative points that we mentioned before.
Yes, I agree also as a psychologist, because when someone gets too much stimulated by social media, it can get to many bad behaviors. But when you use it the right way, good management, this can be a very helpful tool in a mental health way and also in a educational support.